Draw you on a Forza, if you ain't tuned into the down. Cut the fix of Xbox, babies. See me gearing mixed up, kid. I'm being a new release. Put them hours in to get prepared now. We play on expert level, don't be scared now. You on a Forza, I can tear down. If you ain't tuned into the channel, keep your head down.
What's up?
Hey guys, I'm not sure who is here just yet because I made no advertisement for this as far as posting on Twitter. So, welcome to the Fix. You're here with myself, Infinite Umbra, and my illustrious and I'm sure slightly perturbed co-host as well as I am, Daniel J. McGee.
Life is shit. How's everyone?
Yeah. It's been a week. Shout out to everybody. Hopefully, when you start piling in or anybody coming in to hear this on replay, or thank you for coming by. I say this all the time, but we're definitely doing this tonight. We're going to keep it really relatively short. If I really wanted to dive into some evergreen topics, I could, but I just don't feel up for it.
Yeah.
And
me neither, honestly.
Yeah. So we're going to keep it really short. I'm aiming for an hour of talk and gaming and entertainment and everything like that, and we're going to get out of here. So without further ado, let's do this housekeeping. Danny, what have you been up to, man? And tell the good folks what you've been playing or doing or watching.
Not a ton. I played a little bit of Mario Party. I've been playing that with a friend of mine, and that was interesting. But really, I think the more worth talking about one is I started their Dragon Age Veilguard game. You see, and I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I don't think it's terrible or anything. I don't even necessarily think it's bad.
Yeah.
But I think when you sort of come at it from a perspective of having played the previous ones, this is by almost every metric the worst one. And the one metric that it's not is visuals. Like, it's a pretty game. Maybe not in terms of art direction, but in terms of just
pure fidelity
and like lighting and stuff. It looks better than anything else from the series.
Yeah, definitely agree.
But the so much of the game just feels like kind of neutered in comparison to previous games, especially like narrative and combat. Like, fighting in this game feels so repetitive. Like, it feels a lot like just basically mashing that button until things stop moving. It's a situation where in all previous Dragon Age games, there's a layer of like strategy of what you're trying to do in any given fight, where there's a lot of like positioning that's very important, and then also like switching between your different characters and setting up the tactics for them. Like, you can get as nitty gritty as you want with it, to the point where like you can go into the settings and be like, I want Liliana to use healing magic whenever a party member falls below whatever % health, right? Or if 4 enemies are grouped together, I want Morrigan to throw a fireball. And you can basically write that into their mechanics, where you don't have to do that actively. You just tell them that like that's how you want to act.
Right.
And then it that always spreads all the way down to things like the team up moves or whatever, right? That's not the right word for it, but how different moves like interact with each other. In previous Dragon Age games, it wouldn't necessarily tell you what those things were. It wouldn't like hold your hand through it. It would just things would just kind of logically work the way that they work. Like if you put up a firewall and shoot arrows through it, then those arrows will pick up a little bit of fire and do a little bit of extra damage. Or if you put down a grease trap and hit it with fire, it'll light. Things like that. It was basically like a not turn-based, a live action version of like Baldur's Gate 3, kind of like it had a lot of that same level of sort of strategic thinking.
Right.
And in this game, it just feels like that's not there. Positioning is still sort of important, but it's a little bit more obvious, where it's like, oh, there's a circle here, better not stand in that.
Right.
Or like, your detonation moves, it'll just flat out tell you which ones they are, and they all kind of feel the same. Like you just pick whichever move on the left and whichever move on the right. Like you pick a move on the left, and then one on the right will start glowing, and then you pick on that one, and it'll cause your two guys to attack the person at the same time, basically. And then like there's an explosion, and it does like a couple, like a little bit more damage, and you're like, okay, cool. But none of them feel like unique or interesting, really. I've done probably 4 or 5 different ones at this point. I'm only, to be fair, like maybe 6 hours, 7 hours in. So I don't know, maybe these things get better, although I've heard from reviews that the combat doesn't really evolve as it goes, which is disappointing. And then also just the fact that in fights you can't control the other characters. Like it doesn't even seem like they have health bars. I don't think they can go down. If so, I haven't seen it.
That's a good point. I don't think they do, actually.
I don't know if they do. But like you can't switch to them and like take control if you're, oh, this healing isn't going fast enough. Like I'm going to switch over to whoever and I'm going to do these heals, or, I'm going to switch over to Morgan and see if I can get better optimization on like where exactly this fireball is going to get placed or whatever, right? Like there's so much of that that's just not in the game. And then even when it comes to like customizing your character in terms of like leveling up, a lot of that's been kind of stripped away too, where in previous Dragon Age games, I always play my first campaign the first time through as a warrior, because it's just kind of a bread and butter and I enjoy it. And this is the worst game to be a warrior in, at least. I don't know, maybe Rogue is great. I've heard that Mage is not very good.
I like Rogue. Yeah, I'm playing this Rogue myself.
Rogue it might be the way to go then, because Warrior's I'm not feeling it. Because in previous Dragon Age games, you would be able to sort of decide your build in a more interesting way, where it'd be like you would basically spec into like, I'm going to be a sword and shield guy, I'm going to do 2-weapon fighting, I'm going to do a 2-handed weapon, or even like I think archery was a warrior skill set in the old games, whereas now it's just the ranged weapon that rogues have, I think. And now in this one, it's like, no, you're going to have a sword and shield, and then if you hit down on the D-pad, it'll switch to a 2-handed weapon, and that's it. That's your thing. That's like there's no choosing like how your character is going to feel mechanically, where you can kind of pick like new abilities, but from what I've seen, they all kind of look the same. Like right now I've got, I think, 4 or 5, and they all feel functionally the same. It's like I have a drop kick that can stun people and send them flying, or I've got like a big stomp that can send people flying, or like they all kind of just feel the same, And it's just it's been pretty disappointing on a mechanical level. And then narratively, I'm just not feeling any of this. Like it's not necessarily bad. Like I think the writing is okay in terms of the world, but it feels like also that a lot of that is sort of imported from previous games, and every time that they have to like come up with something new for this one, it feels like it just falls short. Especially when it comes to like the companions. Granted, I only have 4 of them right now, so maybe the last ones that you get are really cool. I just got Lucanus, and he's all right. I think, I'm sure that as I do their companion quests and stuff, that like more interesting things will happen with them. But right now, it just feels like very like almost boilerplate, like cookie cutter characters. And I'm just not like, they feel very forgettable. Like I feel like if you ask me about them a year from now, I won't remember their names or what their stories were.
Yeah.
Which isn't super good. And then like, also the world feels like very hallway-y. Like I have yet to enter into a zone where it felt like I was doing more than just like checking the corners in this hallway for a treasure chest. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It feels like Dragon Age Light. You know, it just feels like all of the things that I really liked about the Dragon Age series are still in there, but they're just like softer.
I see.
You know?
It's see now. This is my thing, so I have to defer to you on this because I don't know enough of the past games I didn't play. Now I own a few of them. I think I own Inquisition. I think I own Origins. I just never played them, really, right?
Yeah.
And it was because of the style of one of them. I was like, nah, not my style. I think it was the one where you control the other ones, other characters you were talking about.
Well, that's all three of them.
Oh, okay.
They're
So
all three
there
of the
you
other
go.
ones are like that.
So that's what it was.
Yeah.
And when I played it, whatever which one it was, I was like, nah, not my style. I like action based more, if not just turn based. If it was turn based, maybe I possibly would have felt that, but I just didn't like the whole aspect of that. But maybe I didn't give it enough of a try. Whatever, right? So I didn't.
It might
give
just
it,
not be for you. Like, that's fine.
It could be. But so my thing is this, and this is the view I had, and I was talking to my brother Slow-Mo about it. Slow-Mo Backslap, for those who don't know. And he's a big BioWare fan, big, Dragon Age fan. And I mean, we've had extensive talks, and he schooled me on a lot of it. As well as Lucius Augustus, who we've had on here before. And so my thing was, what exactly was added or changed? And I felt like this is more action adventure than it is RPG. And he was like, no, not really, because you still have the classes, which is true. You do, you still have the other characters you interact with, and so many other essence. Like, I mean, skill tree things, and like it's a bunch of stuff that still makes it an RPG. So I get past that, but it definitely does feel RPG light.
Very light.
So that's where I understand exactly where you're coming from with that. Let me ask you, what did you think about the dialogue in general? Like, because one of the major complaints and issues with people was the dialogue and the characters. They felt like too, I guess, modernized in how they speak, which I've experienced as well. Well, what's your takeaway on that?
It definitely feels way too modern in terms of the dialogue. To me, so far, I would say a lot of the writing is fine in terms of like what's happening, and just like general conversations are probably fine, but it's really hit and miss, where every so often someone will talk and you're just like, that's not how people talk. That's not a thing. Like, Balara especially just like does not feel like a real human being at all. She feels like,
to be fair,
a background character in a Disney movie.
She does feel like a character from a Disney movie,
and it just like doesn't work for me. Like, we're in this really gritty, dark, fantasy world, and none of these characters feel like they make sense in it. And part of that is the writing. You're absolutely right about people talking like they talk like they're in 2024. It doesn't make sense, because then old characters from the previous games will show up. Like, this is maybe a spoiler, but she's in the trailer and she shows up within like the first hour. But Morrigan is in this game from the first 3 games.
I met her,
and she's coming in and she's dropping like thous and all that. She's like, thou art not worthy of the whatever the fuck. And it's like, and then you've got like your entire party standing there, and you're like, one of these party members is gonna say Riz instead of charisma any second now. Any second now. And it's like, these people don't feel like they're in the same universe.
Man, Morrigan has the Riz. I can hear it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can feel that.
But I think it's kind of hit and miss too, because I think like Harding's writing, at least so far for me, has been fine. There's nothing about her that like has really stood out to me. I think the direction that it seems like her story is going could be interesting. Nev and Balara, I'm not really interested in. I've only just now met Lucanus, so I don't really feel like I have an opinion of him yet, other than his design is really boring. But he's just like, I'm the rogue. He's kind of got that like very boilerplate D&D character of like, I'm a rogue with a dark past. My story will be revealed with time. And it's like the same thing we've seen 4,000 times.
That's fairly accurate, actually. When you play more, you'll see.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe the other ones are really cool. Like, I know who they are. I've seen them in the trailers and stuff. So, I don't know. I think I'm missing 3 people at this point, and maybe they're great. But right now, when I'm picking my party to go on a mission or whatever, I don't care who any. Like I'm not attached to any of these people.
Yeah, I completely understand that. As far as Belara, she's a cutie, but she definitely feels out of place. Definitely feels Disney-esque. I definitely get that vibe from what you're saying. The way I described it, and I will say Harding is fine mostly. Nev is even fine rather. Lucanus is okay. Definitely has the dark past thing and he's speaking an Italian accent and everything. Yes.
Is that supposed to be Italian? I read it as like.
That's what I took it for, at least.
I read it as like almost Latin, but I could see it.
Maybe Latin. It could be Latin. It could be. That's fair. It's one of the two. Latin probably makes more sense because of the city that you will find them in later and such. But anyway, and then you have other characters like Tosh. Tosh rather is the Kunari.
Oh, the non-binary one. I've seen clips of that character a lot. I don't. It seems like and maybe it's just the clips that people have been sharing. It seems like the writing for that character is significantly worse than everybody else.
It is, and I'm not the type that I've combated people on Twitter about this whole nonsensical anti-woke thing that they keep pushing all the time. I get some of the complaints. Don't get me wrong, but like some people you can just tell like, nah, you just hate these people. Stop it. You're using that for your hate.
We got a lot of that from conversations around recent real world events too, where it's like, why do you not like this thing? And then you talk to them for long enough, and you're like, you just don't like people who don't look like you. Okay, no, I get it.
You're just bigoted. Got it. Yeah.
No, you're just racist. Okay, I understand.
That's exactly what it is for some of these people.
This conversation doesn't need to go forward because there's nothing I can do to make you not racist.
100%. And some of these people are that. Now, some have valid, reasoning, and they don't feel that way. To be fair, I'm not gonna prop.
I just think. Yeah. I haven't met this character yet, so I can't. But Tosh just seems.
She is, in my opinion, or they in this case would. Yeah. It's not. It's definitely written with a modern angle, and that's the problem I have. I don't care about the they them stuff and all that. It's whatever, and it's not really like people. Oh, look at the dialogue. It's like some of these stuff.
Well, and it's also not even. The thing that I think pisses me off the most about this is that everyone is like freaking out about like. Oh, it's the first non-binary character. They've never done this before. They have done this before. There was a non-binary companion in fucking Dragon Age Origins. Like, that's not new. This is not a new thing. Shale was non-binary. We didn't know what that character's gender was for the longest time, and that character didn't give a shit. And then when you did find out what they were originally born as, they were still like, well, I'm not that. So they were the first non-binary character. Honestly, that game came out before being non-binary was like a thing that people was like in mainstream, really. And then like there's trans characters in Inquisition, there's gay characters in all of them. Like none of this is new.
I heard.
I don't know why all of a sudden we're like, but Tosh, fuck Tosh, right? It's like
I think it's because people hadn't even been exposed to these games. So now they're trying to use this as it's anything they could grasp to try to point to anything quote unquote woke, right? And that's what it is. It's they don't care about these games. They just using anything they can for their agenda. And I will say though, it's just the modernization of those types of talking points, though, right? Like for instance, I feel like this, and I'm not, but I also feel like this. Like some of the things they're speaking on is definitely modernized social talk, and that's where it starts to pull you out of that world. It's like, okay, you all like I get it. I'm all for the inclusiveness, but not at the sacrifice of the world and the cohesiveness of that story. And that's where they go wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And also just general dialogue. Like you said, the way I compared this, I felt like it is the best comparable point of media is either like Guardians of the Galaxy in a way, or Dungeons and Dragons, the newest Dungeons and Dragons movie, which by the way I loved. Just want to throw it out there. It was actually really good with Chris Pratt and not Chris Pratt. Chris, what's his damn name? What is his name? The one that played as Captain Kirk in the newest Star Trek movies.
Oh, Chris Pine?
Chris Pine. There we go. I knew it was something with a B. Chris Pine. I like Chris Pine, by the way.
He's good. Yeah, he's a really good actor.
Yeah, and I think he's a good human too. Like if you hear some things,
Seems like it.
yeah. But like that movie right there to me is what that game feels like, but amped up maybe a few points. That's what the game feels like dialogue wise. And even in that movie, it felt some of the things they were talking about was more modernized in a more, medieval kind of fantasy setting. And that's what's kind of taking me out at times. But I'm probably going on too long on that because people might feel like, oh, that's just terrible. It's not as bad as it might sound. It definitely takes you out of that world a bit, but it's not so dramatic that it's like, oh, I can't tolerate this. You'll be able to like. For me, I kind of tuned it out after a minute, and what mattered more to me was whatever the world building that I was getting, as well as the combat, and just seeing these different settings. The combat to me is the star of the show.
Really?
For me. And now, mind you, I'm more of an action-oriented kind of gamer. So playing,
that's fair.
Yeah. So like for me, I didn't care about trying to take hold of other characters and stuff like that. For me, it was just like, oh, can I do this nice hack and slash move? And I build up my skill tree. Now I have this other move that I just dash and slice everybody up. Like all of that is like, yeah, kill, dude. Like that's where I'm at. So I'm in. For that reason, I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I am enjoying it for that reason. I'm about 48 hours into it, but that's because I get to play at home and take it on the go with the Rock Ally. So I've been playing both here and away, and it's interesting. It's repetitive, I will say. To each, and if you play past games as you know what to expect from that series. So I can understand 100% if this is missing the mark for you. 100%.
It is, but I also, I don't know, it's not even necessarily just like, oh, it's not what I wanted it to be. It's that what it is, it feels like just not a great version of that. Like, I feel like there are better action games,
Yep. Magnum said, I pulled a barf. Now do 10 push-ups. There's a moment. There's a moment in there with Tosh character.
I've seen it.
Okay, you've seen it. Okay.
Yeah, I saw the clip. It's not great. It's one of the more awkward writing bits that I've seen.
Yeah, that was pretty silly. But that pirate lady. Why was a pirate lady? I thought that was Nev.
She's a recurring character.
Is she?
Isabel? Yeah, she's been in. Okay. She's been in. Was she in Inquisition? She was definitely in Origins, and she's a companion in 2. I have not seen her in the game yet, so I do not know how she fits into this one yet. But she's a character from previous stuff.
Okay. So. She reminds me of Nev. When I first saw her, I'm like, is that Nev in like a pirate outfit? But
she just dressed different.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was. I didn't know what the party event or something. But I will say overall I am enjoying the experience. If I have to give it a score, it's probably at first I was like in an 8.5 range. Now I'm probably going to drop down to the 7.5 range.
Okay.
That's where I think.
Was there something that happened later in the game that has caused that for you? Was it just like it's gotten repetitive, or what is it that has specifically made a drop for you?
I think it was just the repetitiveness, and it never really wowed me. Like some games, even for instance, Stellar Blade that I have playing now, the combat felt so good, and I never felt like man, it's getting a drag. It always felt like, yeah, this is rewarding and such. The combat in this game is fun, but like the world itself, the story, should I say, is not wowing me. It's not pulling me in. It's not bad, but it's just not. You know what I mean? It's not like the story, and this is after playing Metaphor, ReFantazio too. So it's kind of like I have that excellent story to fall from to this. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I just like it's weird because I feel like everything that they are making up for their own in this game in terms of like the world building feels wrong almost. It like the way that Solus is written, at least from what I've seen so far, feels like the people who are writing him now did not play Inquisition. It feels like they do not know who this character is and just read his like log line and saw, oh, he's the god of lies, I'll write him like Loki, and just like that's what his character is now.
They actually harp on that on a point too. It's funny you say that.
Really?
because it's like a point where you have a dialogue with him, and it's like, and you say a certain, I guess the middle option would have a little, smile face, whatever, and it'll be like, you challenged the Solus, and it's like, oh, the Lord of Lies missed something in rebellion, and he's like, yes, the Lord of Lies, such and such a rebellion. I'm like, oh, he's supposed to be Loki.
It's like, oh, you're literally just
that's
Loki
the
now.
vibe exactly I got from that. So it's funny.
Yeah, and it also feels so out of place because like when I was doing when you do the character creator at the end, it's like, and now make your Inquisitor for like your player character from Inquisition. I don't know how this character comes into play yet. Obviously, they exist at some point in the game if they're asking you to create the character model for them, but it makes me wonder so much why this is the most direct sequel that there's ever been in Dragon Age, and I don't know why you're not just playing as your Inquisitor still. They're asking you the questions at the beginning of the game of like, what did you do in this situation? What did you do in that situation during Inquisition? Which I imagine that part must have been really confusing for you if you've not played those games. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you could have just put 10, 15 more of those, and then we could just have this make so much more sense. Like, all of the conversations that you're having with Solus would hit so much more, like, powerfully if you were the guy he betrayed. But instead, you're just like some dude. You're just some dude.
Yeah. Your new character in the world, the Rook. Also, too, maybe it would have helped for, after all these years, maybe for a series recap. I don't know. Maybe that would have helped the options that you could go with.
Yeah, because you get like a 30-second voiceover from Varric at the beginning where he's like, so basically, Solus sucks, and like that's not enough to explain any of this.
No nuance there. Yeah, I know. I feel you there. Yeah, and I haven't played the past games, so for me, this is just fresh. I don't know anything. So I'm taking it as that at that value, but and so I don't know him.
I actually think that might be the better way to play this game, because I think if you go into this game not already, because it's such a beautiful and well crafted and well written world, like so much of the lore of the different, like the lore of the Dalish elves and how the dwarfs can like hear the rock and how they they like banish dwarves who go above ground, or like all of that stuff. Like there's so much interesting lore about that's just like carryover from the past games, and if it's your first time hearing all that stuff, then you're probably gonna enjoy this world more because you're like, wow, that's really cool. Whereas those of us who have played it before are like, yeah, correct. What else?
Yeah, and that's part of the problem of having BioWare, and we need to move on, but that's part of the
sorry,
that's fine. This is fine. It was like a impromptu Dragon Age discussion, part of the show. But like I will say, there is what was I going with this? I forgot mid-sentence of what I was going with this.
That's right. It's been a long week.
Yeah. Just in general though, what was I about to... my brain just stopped. But I will say, I'm enjoying the game so far. I'm not mad at it. I just would have. Oh, that's where I was going. This is not the same BioWare team of those games, right? So that's part of the problem. I think they only have maybe one or two, if a few people from the past that's on the team still, and so that's part of the issue. You know what I mean? So it's not the same DNA of BioWare that made those games. And but hey, here's to hoping that things can go go right for them for Mass Effect, which they're starting to work on right after this now, apparently.
Yeah, that's actually the first thing I have on the news rundown, is that they're not making DLC for this, and I don't know if I like that.
Well, let's move to the news roundup then.
Yeah.
By the way, I added 2 more things into the chat if you want to, because one of them specifically ties into this too.
So the first one I had here was, they're not making DLC for this, story DLC. And it's just I don't know. That feels weird to me, because it's we're not going to get another one of these for a really long time. If I end up liking it by the end, I'm gonna be really disappointed that there's not more content. And then if I end up not liking it by the end, and they're like, and now we're gonna go mess up Mass Effect again, then I'll be like, great.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It kind of feels like a lose-lose to me right now.
Yeah. It could. Hopefully, it's a learning step, right? It's a learning curve, and a kind of. This is what I'll say, and I don't want this to sound. I hate to sound anywhere aligned with any of these grifting types. But my best suggestion for these folks making this game is stop putting your real life feelings into these games. Just tell a story. It's the same thing as if I was writing a story about something. I would not take elements of my current life unless it was specifically tied. If I'm making a fantasy, should I say? Let me rephrase that, because you can take real elements of your life if you're writing something that's more of a biopic or something. But something that's fantasy, you kind of want to not put, like, let's put it like this. Mass Effect is set in what year? Like 3000 something? I don't know.
No idea.
Somewhere far out, right? We can imagine. Because we've had space travel. We, get all the way around the galaxy after we found those, I forget what they call those.
The marker.
Yeah. So, like, we're far out in the future. I'm going to assume. Far enough. Let's just say 3000, 4000. The year 4000 or something. Whatever. I don't want to have modern sensibilities and talking points inside of a Mass Effect game. It just doesn't feel right. At that point, the civilization we've had is crumbled and gone. Things would have changed. So I kind of want, give me something of a perspective of that. Don't give me modern sensibilities. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I would hope for them to do.
Mass Effect 1 takes place during 2183.
Yeah, see, 2183.
That's not even that far out.
It's not that far out at all. And I kind of hate that, by the way. I hate, like,
that's a little crazy. I mean, it is a thing where, like, the lore of Mass Effect is like, oh, they found this thing on Mars, I'm pretty sure, and then, like, it just, like, shot them forward in tech super far, and then they joined the council. So, like, they're like the new members of the council species, or whatever. It doesn't matter.
It reminds me of
Starfield.
Starfield also does that, where it's like, oh, it's only
a little bit, yeah.
Like, it should be further out. Yeah, like, be further out for that for me, but whatever.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree. I don't think it's necessarily that you shouldn't take elements from your real life and write it into, like, a fantasy thing necessarily, because I think there's ways to do that where it's not so, like I don't know. You can take elements of, struggles you've been through or whatever and put it into any setting, and I think it'll probably make the writing better. The issue is, like you said, when you just, like, almost ignore the setting in order to make the thing more clear, Yeah. Where you're, like, making people just talk in a way that they just simply would not talk in a fantasy world. And I don't mean, like, oh, these people are speaking in a more progressive way, like that. I don't care about that at all. It's literally just, like, the verbiage, like, they're using current 2024 slang. Exactly. And it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel right. Like, they should have their own slang, if anything.
Agreed.
Different universe.
Agreed. And there's some that what game was that does that, where they have kind of their own, like
Cyberpunk does that, but it sounds really
does
stupid.
it. Yeah, Choom and all that. That's true. Cyberpunk, it does sound stupid. But but at least it is, something different, and it's not a part of our normal speak here. So that much is in line with what we're talking about. Not that I agree with. Just, I would hope for them distance themselves from trying to do this whole, let's give a message about inclusion. Like, stop that. It's unnecessary. Just tell a good story. And if you put that in there, make it a natural part of something. Don't make it like, oh, obvious, wink, wink, look, inclusiveness. Like, just stop. And that's where I think they went wrong with the Tosh characters. Like, it's so obvious, and it's like, guys, you can tell the story and tell that part of inclusiveness without dumbing it down and making us feel stupid as an audience. Just, like,
I feel you.
That's what I mean. Like, just give us that, but do it intelligently if you're going to do that. I don't care if they put that in there. I really don't. It doesn't bother me for 1 second to, like, hear, oh, look, oh, I'm this. I feel like this. Okay, cool. Next, let me go save this planet. Like,
it's almost not even that to me from the clips that I've seen. It's more just like the writing feels almost lazy, where they're not saying it in an interesting or unique way. They're just saying it. They're just like, here's the fact. This is what that is. And it's like, okay, like, there's some merit to that of just, like, laying it out on the table and letting people, bring their own situation to it. But when you're telling a story and you want people to feel connected to this character, you can't have them come down and just be like, I don't know, just like speak only in straight fact with like no emotion or no, like I don't know. It just feels, doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel like a
Yeah.
good story, you know?
It doesn't, and it's just that it just takes people out of what that world. It really does. Just tell us a good, compelling story, and stick to that. Don't force all these other things into that. You know what I mean? If you feel so
Yeah.
so inclined to do that on your own time. This is not for this. You know, that's the way I feel. And I wouldn't do that even for stuff with me. I wouldn't be like, well, you know, this plight of black people. Like, I'm not bringing that into
Yeah.
a game that doesn't
Well,
need that.
But then even to your point on that, like the previous Dragon Age games have had things where you know, not one to one, where it's like
Yeah.
this is like, oh, this is a one to one relation. This is the plight of the black man in Thedas. No, but there's things that are very clearly supposed to be like allegories for that, like the way that the elves are treated in cities, or like they just handle it better. Like they
Mhm.
tell their own unique story that you can be like, oh, this is like that thing in the real world, if you want to make that connection. And if you don't want to make that connection, then you're like, oh, the elves are just kind of getting shit on. And then you get like this brand new story about these other group of people. So like it's not, to me, it's not even necessarily like, oh, leave that out of the game. It's like, just write it better.
Just write it better.
Just do it in a good way.
And they can, and that's the thing. Like, they need to bring in a very capable writer. That's another thing. If you're
Yeah.
going to start Mass Effect over, don't promise us the stuff you promised us. We saw Liara, we saw that teaser with her at the ship at the Normandy and all that. Like, don't do all of that and then give
Yeah.
us Andromeda. No, you know what I mean. Reestablish yourselves, and this is their moment to do that. And I hate that it seems like they get the chance and it's like, oh, let's do this instead. It's like, no, you know, they have this chance to really right the ship, and you want them to, because it's BioWare, it's a story developer. There might not be the same, you know, innards in it, but you don't want them to go out sad, and it feels like they're on that precipice of that. If anything fails for Mass Effect, I think that might be a nail in the coffin, because I'm not sure how well Dragon Age is done. I'm sure, I know it's doing no decently enough as far as charting. You know, seeing it here and there on Steam, DB, and Xbox. I think it's third.
It's sold
sale.
well, not like amazingly well or anything, but
Yeah.
but well.
Well enough, right? And
Yeah.
I'm sure EA is probably like, not it didn't meet expectations, because it always seems like games not meeting somebody's
Man.
expectations nowadays.
Yeah, honestly.
Especially if you're Square Enix. But
Yeah.
I just want them to, you know, take this moment to say, let's put our stamp down and deliver something that, you know, that's akin to the previous team that people are going to remember. I'm not trying to do this whole social thing versus me delivering something that I'm going to be remembered for. I want to deliver something that's going to stand the test of time. And Mass Effect games of old stand the test of time. Those are, you know, it's a legendary series for a reason because of those. That's what they need to aim for.
Yeah, absolutely. Ugh. Well, speaking of Mass Effect, it looks like they've just officially confirmed that they're making a Mass Effect TV show over at Amazon.
That's an Amazon too? Oh, I didn't know Amazon was
too.
doing it.
So Amazon has made a couple of really good shows. They do The Boys, which I haven't watched, but is apparently really good. And they, of course, do...
Wait. You never
Fallout.
seen any of The Boys?
No, I've read some of the comics, and I didn't care for them.
The comics were trash.
I want to watch The Boys, but I just, like... I don't know. There's a lot of it that I've heard about where it just feels like they did something crazy in season 1, and they've just been trying to one-up themselves over and over again, and that, like, doesn't really speak to me. But I'll definitely watch it at some point.
To be fair, that's not too far off the mark. But it is
Yeah, okay.
it is engaging, but it is kind of like extreme to be extreme at times too, to be fair. Yeah. Entertaining though. Entertaining.
Oh, I'm sure it's
depends on-
good. Like,
yeah.
you know, people are enjoying it. Like, people whose opinions I respect
Yeah.
are
But
always telling me that it's a good game. So,
But
a
you
good
know,
show.
yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, Amazon, I think, also too. Speaking of Amazon, I know you got the other piece that I shared.
Yeah, I got it there.
So like, Amazon is just doing a lot of crazy good stuff when it comes to these shows. I still need to watch season 2. Well, I need to finish season 1 of Rings of Power, then move on to 2. And I know you said you really appreciated that.
I
so,
really liked it. Yeah.
yeah. I know it's got mixed film people saying like, I didn't like it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. Season 1 I can kind of understand because season 1's kind of slow, but season 2 is really good.
Okay, gotta check it out. But yeah, so I got all those to check out, and Amazon is really top notch as far as what they put budget wise behind their shows. So I appreciate that. So that gives me a lot of hope for Mass Effect because it's going to take a lot of money to properly do that show. It's like a Halo in a way. You got to put a lot of budget behind that.
So hopefully they're able to get that done. I don't really I don't know. I don't necessarily want them to do this in such a way where it's like just looks really bad. But I don't know, because the Fallout show is also Amazon, right? And I feel like they did a really good job interpreting that. Granted, that's a little bit easier. You know, there's only like one ghoul character, and everyone else is just a person but gross.
True. They do have to do the armor. The guys, the what do they call them? The with the armor.
Like the Krogan.
No, the as far as Fallout, they do have the armored.
The Brotherhood of Steel.
Brotherhood of Steel, and they of course the vaults and such, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, well, I'm talking really mostly in terms of like the characters. Is like, are the prosthetics of like a Turian going to look good? You know, that's the thing that's going to be the number one sticking point for me on this show, is whether or not I can look at the alien characters and be like, yeah, that doesn't look like a man covered in ping pong balls. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So hopefully that's the case.
Yeah, a good thing. Hoping for good things, man. Like, what would you have preferred versus live action? Would you be okay with an animated kind of series for it instead?
Well, they did I think it was a movie for Mass Effect that was animated, and it was pretty decent. It wasn't amazing or anything, but it was okay.
I think that. I don't think I saw that.
I think it was called Paragon or something.
Oh, maybe I did know about that. Maybe in my mind I just forgot about it. Maybe. Yeah.
But I just I don't know. I think I would prefer live action for something like this.
Yeah. And now you think they would go with Shepard Steele for this? What do you think?
That feels like the easy option, because we don't really know what Mass Effect is outside of the Shepard story. Which, not to say they couldn't do that, but it does seem like the thing most people seem to do with the stories when they adapt video games is just to take the story and stick it in there. Fallout, though, is the one that kind of breaks from that, and that's Amazon. So maybe they will tell just a different story in that universe, in which case that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, it will be.
Because I don't know necessarily, because I think if they do Mass Effect 1 just straight up, they're going to kind of set themselves up for a really hard comparison.
Yeah.
Of being like, is this Garrus as good as our Garrus? Is this Liara as good as our Liara? Like, that's a tough comparison. People are not probably gonna.
They want to go. They won't go easy on it. Yeah, that's
it's gonna be a tough review period for them.
Yeah. And I just looked it up, by the way. It's Paragon Lost, and gotcha. I had seen the cover for it. I just never watched it. It's an anime.
It's okay. Yeah, it's not like amazing or anything. It's fine.
Yeah, I gotta check it out. But yeah.
So.
Good luck to them.
But then, speaking of Amazon, also on the Fallout show, they just cast Home Alone's Macaulay Culkin as something. Yeah, we don't know who he is yet. One of the I've seen this, once or twice now, and one of them said that he's playing a recurring character who's like a weird science guy, which, when we're talking about Fallout, really doesn't narrow it down. In terms of like what kind of person he could be. Yeah. My assumption would be maybe he works for the Enclave in some level, like because he gives off the same. I don't know why, but he's the picture that they used in the thing makes me think of Arcade from New Vegas a little bit for some reason. Even though Arcade was voiced by Zachary Levi, who's like a dickhead now, but whatever. Yeah. Oops. But yeah, so I don't know. That's for some reason what's immediately coming to mind, but I have no real reason to think that,
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I got love for Macaulay. I think every time I see him, I just go back to nostalgia view. I start thinking of Home Alone and what was that, Richie Rich, and you know what I mean. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So hey, I mean, solid. He's still a solid actor. I've seen him in other movies too when he was an adult.
His brother, I think, was just in a really big, not big movie, but a movie that I think is gonna surprise a lot of people, called, like, what is it, Odd Pair or something.
I didn't know that it was 3 of them, by the way. I thought it was just him and his one brother, but it's two. There's three of them.
Yeah, so there's Macaulay Culkin, there's the one that was in Scream, whose the first name I don't know, and then there's the one who was in Scott Pilgrim, whose name I don't know.
Yeah, is it Kieran, or something like that?
There's definitely one called Kieran or something.
Kieran, yeah, something like that. Yeah, Kieran Culkin, should I say? But yeah, yeah, no, I'm excited for this, man. I think Fallout is a standout show. They've done a great job with it. I hope they continue with it. Okie dokie. But yeah, good luck to them. I'm just wondering about that Mass Effect, how they're going to approach it. But I think you're right. Maybe go into a different story, different protagonist in the different. Yeah, because trying to live up to the standard of the Shepard and crew is just not going to land right. Yeah, but this Fallout thing, good news. Amazon seems to be on the right track and continuing a great show. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What else?
The movie I was thinking of, by the way, is called A Real Pain, and it stars Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. And everything that I've heard about it so far is like, this movie is going to win awards.
Okay, I gotta look into it. You say it's him and who else again?
Jesse Eisenberg.
Okay.
So,
Cool. Hey, thanks for subbing, DJ Killzone.
What's up, man?
Yeah. What else do we have?
We had the PS5 Pro previews came in, and they're, not necessarily bad review scores, but a lot of just like, a lot of people basically just saying it's not worth the money, which is, I guess, bad. The general reaction to it has been kind of what we thought the whole time, which is like, it does make games look better a little bit, but not $700 worth. So it's probably not worth your money or time. And then another really fun aspect of this is between when they announced it and now, they've like very quietly dropped the 8K tag off the box and are just like said like not or just pretending that they never said that.
They just peeled it off.
Yeah, well, because the thing can't even do 4K most of the time, apparently. From what I understand, that's the whole point of what PSSR is that they take a lower, they took the pisser, and they take a lower for like resolution image, pass it through the pisser, and make it look 4K-ish. So that's really what it is. So it was probably not a good idea for them to slap 8K on the box, which they did for the PS5 base model. So I guess we're at least probably closer with this one, but
yeah. From what I've seen people posting images and such. Hell, I saw one image somebody posted a side-by-side comparison of Red Dead Redemption 2, and Arthur was blurry on the Pro versus the Xbox.
Yeah,
version. I'm like, what the hell?
I saw that one, and I was like, is this real, or is this like is someone just like manipulated up a little bit, or like zoomed in a little bit? Because I don't know, like I can't imagine it looking worse. But at the same time, it's like so many of the ones that we have seen from like Digital Foundry and like the quote unquote professional sources, is it's like I'll look at the two pictures and I don't see it. Like they're next to each other, and I'm like, what are we looking at? Like, what's different here? It's the background characters are like higher resolution, I guess. Yeah, sure. Yeah, all right. Yeah, cool. Yeah, $700 you said?
Yeah, man. It's something. I'll say that.
It's weird. I if you're buying a PS5 Pro, let me know, and then let me know why, because I'm not necessarily judging you, but I don't understand it.
I'm judging you all, Bobby Hawk. I'm starting with you.
I'm not judging you because my shit list is currently 72 million people long, so I really don't have room for PS5 Pro buyers.
Unless you're both that part of that and that.
If you're both, you're already on there. So don't even worry about it. We'll get to you.
Oh man, like the Pro thing though.
Yeah,
I'm seeing mixed reviews for it. Like a lot of them are the 7s, whatever. Like IGN was a 7. I think Kind of Funny may have given it like a lower score than that, if I'm not mistaken.
They may have. I actually didn't see their preview or whatever yet. But I also don't know if they've given. I don't know if they give number grades to hardware. I feel like I haven't seen that before.
Typically, I think
they said they don't like it.
Yeah, like they redid their system because I think it used to be like a 5-star thing, 5 rating. Now it's 10.
They used to not give it a number at all, and then they did 5 and then changed it to 10 recently because they're like, well, if we're gonna give it a number score, we may as well use the one everyone else does.
Pretty much, and it's largely in line with how I look at the 10 score thing. But But yeah, I think they gave it maybe a 5, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. So it's
Yeah, that's not
it's not
great.
landing for everybody. And my thing is the cost versus what you get, and it's not giving enough of a return for that cost to me to warrant that. Especially again, since I'm all PC MR'd up over here, it's like that doesn't. I wouldn't buy it anyway, to be fair, because I don't play on PlayStation enough.
Really?
But
Yeah.
even if I
Makes
was
sense.
a PlayStation only type of gamer, I don't see the need for it. But hey, people will spend money on tech all the time on something they really like.
Yeah.
I don't have a
Well, I
problem.
mean, people upgrade their phone. Like I don't, but people upgrade their phones every year,
So yeah, true.
and those phones are like
Way more.
at the $1,400, $1,500. So if
Yep.
you're doing that, like this is probably not that big of a deal to you. So like I understand there's a market for this. I just don't think I assume that market is doing it out of some like need to have the best thing, rather than that they would actually like notice a difference.
Mhm.
Because from what I can tell, even people who are like, well, this game's only running at 67 frames a second, and last time it was at 70 frames a second, and I can tell, and the 67 makes me want to throw up and give me motion sickness. Like those guys, the
Yeah.
absolute nutballs out there, even those people are looking at the PS5 Pro and are being like, yeah, like it's better. Yeah, I guess.
I think maybe it's too. To be fair, it's like the whole, like I guess everything costing so much right now, and people have
Yeah,
to
for
be more
sure.
wise with their money. That could be a part of it, But
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't see the need for it. And then, like, even I saw something. I think it was. I know it was. It was Elden Ring, and they showed the comparison for the performance versus quality and everything else, and it couldn't even hit 60. Like, it couldn't even hit 60 frames. And so, like, yeah,
Is it like locked at 30? Because DJ was saying in the chat that apparently that's why Red Dead 2 looks bad, is because it's locked at 30 or something.
that is true too. It is locked at 30 for Red, because for whatever.
So maybe that's true of
godforsaken
this other
reason-
one too.
Yeah, I think FromSoft though, because I think they got close to. I think it was 57, maybe the highest 59, but then it would drop
Yeah.
for performance maybe. But as far as Red Dead, that's the problem with Rockstar. They don't want to put an update for that to allow. I don't know why they do that.
Rockstar's just like never been great about stuff like that. I mean, like it takes them a year minimum to port their things to PC most of the time. Like Red Dead 1 just went to PC.
Yeah, I just saw that. That's so stupid. It's been what, 12, 15 years?
Yeah, so Rockstar really like does not care about the PC master race. They're like, get on out of here, boy.
We don't like your kind around these parts.
It's crazy.
And they
I'm
can
telling you.
afford to do that, right? Because they've all now.
They can, because
sold,
people will
like,
go wherever. People will go wherever Grand Theft Auto is. They
that's
can put it
true.
on cell phones, and people would buy it there.
That's true. Because like Part
Yeah.
5, I think just recently updated. I think it sold like 200 some odd million copies now.
Yeah, the number is slightly misleading because there's not that many people playing the game. It's because the easiest way to get the shark cards is to buy a brand new game. Like it's cheaper to buy the whole
Oh.
game and get the prepackaged shark cards that come with that
I see.
than to just buy the shark cards. And so a lot of people have bought like tens, if not 100 copies of that game for one person at this point. But like
I see.
it's making money. It doesn't really matter how the breakdown of that money is coming in. Like they're happy with it.
Okay. I guess that's crazy in a way, but yeah, it makes some
Yeah.
sense.
Oh, it's straight up insane.
Yeah. Here's my 10th copy of Grand Theft Auto 5. Get my shark
I
card.
mean, yeah, I think strictly speaking, I think I own it twice because I think I own the 360 version, and then they never made it back compat.
Yeah. I
Like
don't-
Rockstar would not allow them to make it back compat, so I had to buy the new version too.
Yeah. You know what?
Which to be fair, I bought it like $15, but still.
I don't know if I bought the next gen version of it. I don't think I did for that. Maybe I
mean,
did. I don't know.
It comes and goes out of Game Pass every so often, so you may have just played it there.
That could have been it. That could have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get it on PC one day. I don't know. I don't have
Maybe. Yeah, I mean,
no
why
desire
not?
for it. But we got part 6.
I mean,
coming
6 is
anyway.
out. 6 is out next year, yeah.
Yeah.
So we actually just got the update on that. So Take-Two like updated their projected release schedule this week, and it's a thing that they were giving to their, what do you call them, stockholders, whatever that meeting. So it may slightly be fluff to like make people not worried about, oh, this game's coming out, whatever, because we did hear that rumor before that Grand Theft Auto 6 had been internally delayed until 2026.
Right.
But in this is our newest piece of information about it. They are saying that it's fall 2025. So that is our presumed current release date for that.
Yeah, there we go. Fall 2025, and woe is any other game they dare put near it.
Yeah, honestly, watch your ass, I guess, because it's not gonna be good for you. No matter what game comes out in that time period, you're not gonna beat it.
You're not gonna do well, like
No.
more than likely. Yeah.
No, because it's gonna eat up people's. Not just for the normal reasons. It's going to be obviously a game that people are going to buy that before anything else, most likely. But also it's going to be a really long game, and it's going to have probably online attached to it to some extent. So it's going to eat up a lot of people's time too. So that whole like the holiday window, if it comes out fall, the holiday window of 2025 is going to be by and large Grand Theft Auto.
Oh yeah, it's locked for sure.
The only other things that we got for that were Borderlands 4. Is apparently projected to come out in fiscal 2026, which would be April 2025 to March of 2026.
Nice.
And Mafia: The Old Country is the same window.
Very nice. I'm actually very excited for Mafia: The Old Country. I know visually it's going to look crazy.
I think so.
Yeah, I can already imagine.
And it's in Italy, so I'll be able to revisit that vacation I took.
There you go.
I'll be like, whoa. I'm shooting a guy in that place I stayed.
All right. It's like, oh, I was there. That's why I buried him where I stayed. But
whoa. I ate dinner where I'm planting this Jamoke's head. Like, that's crazy.
All right. I'm just gonna walk around and they're like bobbity boopity. Yes,
boopity bobbity.
Boopity bob. That's all.
Yeah. I don't know. Take-Two's doing some good stuff, but they don't really put out games that often. So I do wonder if they are, saying end of 2025 and then they'll bump it to like early to mid 2026. But like they right now already know that it's that, but they're not telling us or the shareholders that, because, it's going to be a situation where obviously whenever this game comes out, it's going to make them, $6 billion in 6 hours. So their stakeholders, shareholders, whatever, they're waiting on this one big time. So if you tell them we're delaying it for a second time, they're going to start getting pissy.
Oh, yeah. I could imagine. We're not making enough money as we're already making millions upon millions, but still.
We make more money than God and anime, but it's not enough.
Right. We need more. Oh, boy. Capitalism. We need it, but damn.
This is America.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of capitalism, Hogwarts Legacy 2 is in development. This is something else that we got from sort of an earnings call situation. Is WB said a bunch of stuff, mostly that they're focusing in on their like tried and true franchises right now, which makes sense because they're not doing super great financially at the moment. In any aspect, either video games or television film. Although this Penguin show is doing really good. Like HBO is doing pretty good right now, and I think everything else is kind of slipping. From what I understand, from what I've heard, is a lot of movie studios are basically saying we just have to survive 2025. So WB is definitely one of the ones in that boat. But they do, I think, have one of the more exciting movies coming out next year with Superman. So I don't know, we'll see. Anyway,
excited for that.
Those franchises that they're focusing in on are Mortal Kombat, Batman, and Hogwarts Legacy, because Hogwarts Legacy made a shitload of money. Like, outsold Call of Duty. I mean, granted, on a year where Call of Duty didn't do as well as usual, but still did really good because it's Call of Duty.
Yep.
And this is exciting, I do wonder to a certain extent, like, what exactly this is going to be. Like, they're going to have to expand the area that you play in to some degree, whether that is like, oh, now Azkaban's like fully explorable and not just like for one Hufflepuff mission for whatever reason, or like, maybe we go to the Ministry of Magic or whatever. Like, there's going to have to be something like that, because I feel like the number one thing that people loved about Hogwarts Legacy was just exploring the castle, and just exploring being in the world of Hogwarts. Because I maybe I'm the outlier here. I didn't think the story of Hogwarts Legacy was like anything special.
I didn't think it was crazy.
Yeah,
I thought it was engaging enough.
It was fine. Yeah,
it's like one of those things where if you have a big open world like it does have, you kind of get sidetracked doing all those things, and it kind of takes away from the story because it's not as tight, right?
I mean, I was having I had a great time with that game. Like, I love it.
I love it.
You know,
Yeah.
but for me, the entertainment was just like, oh, I'm in this world that I've been a fan of forever. Like, that's the number one thing is like a really high fidelity, like very faithful rendition of, you know, the world that I know from the books and the movies.
Yeah.
And then the story aspect of it was like, why does Sebastian keep telling me not to come to school tomorrow? I don't know what's going on, but I don't think, like, should I tell a teacher about this?
I'm
Like,
getting Hogwarts school shooter vibes from him. Right now.
I'm getting like, nah, great. I think he's gonna have Avada Kedavra. Like, some people.
Yeah, it's gonna definitely for some people.
I don't know what's going on here. It didn't. The story itself just like didn't really hook me or like any of the characters except maybe like one or two of the teachers were kind of cool.
Yeah.
That
redhead, that lady.
The redhead was cool, but she didn't really do anything. I don't know. Like, I don't want to spoil the ending of the game, but I was disappointed at how little happened during the ending. Is what I'll say.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. I wasn't like, oh man, this story was so good. It was a decent enough story, but
Yeah,
the
I agree.
world for it that was so well captured is what did it for me. The world and even the flying around and all of that was really well done. The wand combat felt good and contextual. Like when you're hitting people, you could feel it hitting, like, you know, the controller vibrating.
Yeah, it was really gritty, and I like that.
Yeah, and I also love that you can do the Avada Kedavra because I did it on a ton of people. I was like, yep, you're dying today.
I didn't end up getting that one because I think in order to get it, you had to like kind of gaslight Sebastian into thinking it was okay to be a school shooter, and I was like not super comfortable with that.
You did, yeah.
So I didn't do that.
I gaslighted the hell out of him. I was like, yeah, you're right, bro.
Yeah, no, man, yeah.
Teach me that spell real quick.
Hey, have y'all? Boy, I do. Yeah, I hate goblins too, man. That's crazy.
They suck.
Ooh.
Ooh, brother.
Ooh. You paying me how much? I don't know, but for me, that game is basically just like I'm exploring this cool world, and then like I'm doing the like Pokemon collecting game in my room of requirements. Like that was what the game was for me, and that was enough. I was having a great time.
Yeah, it definitely.
But I'm excited for a second one. They're gonna need to expand it in a couple of ways, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Care.
I just hope though when it does, you know, when it does land and everything, it's not judged that stupid. You know, I had a big issue with that, as you know. Like
yeah,
whole,
I mean, it will, but we already learned that doesn't matter.
True. As long as they deliver a decent game, that's true. But a lot of those sales, of course, were protest buys too, and I don't want it to just be, oh, we're protesting against the proletariat, basically. I want them to, you know, do it off the merits of the game.
Revolution.
Exactly. And I just hate the whole like, oh, we're gonna hold this against the developers because of what she said. It's like, stop
this lady's a dighead or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting tired of that too. So hopefully it's not a thing we have to deal with by the time this game comes out. Because the other thing is that they're saying like, oh, we're just starting it, so we're not seeing this for a minute. But we'll see.
I am hopeful to see what they do with Batman though. Hope they go back.
Me too. Yeah, I'd really love a Batman game that's not VR. That'd be really cool.
Absolutely. Although our brother Kiyosaki said he likes it, apparently, I guess.
Yeah, but he's like a technophile. Like, he probably just likes that the VR doesn't suck.
That's probably what it is. Okay, if you were hearing that, yeah, you gassing.
He loves tech. I don't think that's like he loves tech. If there's a weird new piece of technology, he's gonna try it out.
He's like, oh, putting a chip in my head? Sure thing, Elon.
Yeah, 100%. Did they ever do that watch from like whatever movie that is, where it just like projects underneath your skin, so you're just like always wearing your watch? He's gonna get that. I promise you.
Yeah, that'd be something.
But speaking of the far future, we got some news about the Switch 2, which is really weird. Because they've confirmed now that Switch 2 is going to be able to play your old Switch games, which is great. That means I can buy a Switch 2 and I don't have to completely disown Nintendo from the family. That's cool.
All right.
But what's also weird is that they confirmed this and then also were like, but we're not going to announce the console until next year. And I'm like, but you're already telling us details about it.
Right.
You're like drip feeding us information about this console that you are also kind of telling us doesn't exist. Right. You're like, don't worry about it. We're not doing anything, but if we were, it would be backwards compatible.
Right.
You're like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, Nintendo's particular. I wonder what the
don't
gimmick will
understand.
be for the next one. I guess it'll be much the same as the current Switch in some ways.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just the Switch but more powerful at this point.
Yeah.
They're getting their gimmicks out with the alarm clock that watches you jerk off and
that was so
a
dumb.
cardboard VR.
Yeah.
So
That Amiibo watch thing. I'm like, what is that? And it's like $100
Yeah.
almost for that thing or something.
I don't know. Nintendo's got some crazy ideas, and unfortunately, they keep selling them. So
Yeah.
really, it's our fault.
True. People who keep mine. Like, I never owned the Switch itself. I had people who owned it, so
Really?
I played off theirs, but I never bought it myself. So
Yeah.
I'll buy the Switch too, since it'll be relatively
Yeah.
modern, I guess, as far as the tech inside.
I will say, I'm not like a Nintendo guy at all.
Yeah.
I think most of their games are like, they've put out 3 games 500 times. Is basically how I feel about
Pretty
Nintendo.
much. Yeah.
But I will say, I really love my Switch. I think and which is weird because apparently Nintendo fans are saying that they have not done a good job of like creating a catalog of their old games.
Mhm.
But for me, who's never been a Nintendo guy, the Switch is the first piece of hardware I've owned from Nintendo that wasn't a Game Boy. And even then, really on Game Boy, I was kind of only playing Pokemon. Like I didn't play a Zelda until Breath of the Wild, right?
But you never played any of the past Zeldas before?
Nope.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's part of
Okay.
the reason why me and Skylar are going back and playing old games is that like, we both have missed a lot of like really big franchises.
I
that
gotta
we're
put you
making
on
these
some
games for.
stuff there, man. Let me throw some suggestions your way.
I mean, right now we're starting with games from the year 2000. So if you got games from the year
Okay.
2000 that
You don't want to go
that you
further
think we should
back.
play.
You don't want to go back to like the Nintendo, Super Nintendo era.
we might. So part of what we're doing with that is like, so one of the first games that we did was Banjo Tooie, which
okay.
comes out it came out in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
But we were like, we know if we're going to talk about this that we're going to want to talk about Banjo Kazooie. So we did that one first, and then we did Tooie. And we're doing the same thing now for Mario Party, where Mario Party 2 came out in 2000 and Mario Party 1 came out in like 99.
Right.
But we're like, part of the conversation around this game is probably just like how it compares to Mario Party 1. So we should probably just play Mario Party 1. And they're both on the Nintendo Switch Online thing. So it's really easy to access. Which brings me back to my original point, which is just like, that Nintendo Switch Online is actually pretty good. You can get the Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack, whatever the hell, for one person for a whole year for like $50. And it's a lot of games. I mean, it's a lot of the same game in my opinion, because for me, like a lot of Nintendo games feel like the same game. But if you're a Nintendo guy, or even just somebody who wants to go back and play like 6 Mario Party games for some reason, like it's a really good access to that catalog. And they've got the family version where it can go on like 6 or 7 different accounts or something. And I don't think it's that much more expensive. And then if you split it even like 2 ways, then you're saving money. So, I don't know. It's a good deal. It's a really good deal.
Yeah. Sounds like it. But yeah.
And they just added the Microsoft games to it too. Not like all their first party stuff, but the ones that were like, because the way they do it is it's like, this is a collection of the N64 games. And they just like semi-recently added Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie and Perfect Dark to that.
Right.
It's a good little collection there.
Sounds like it. Yeah, yeah. If you guys want some suggestions, man, let me know. I got some. I don't know what you haven't played, but yeah, I'll bring
A lot of things, honestly.
a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, I was not a gamer kid until well into the PS2 generation.
okay. Well, PS2 is fair enough. I mean, they're still like 20 plus years in the game, so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm
if
sure
you've
there's
got
some
games
gems on
where you're
PS2
like-
you probably didn't play either. I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There's definitely like here's a couple. I've never played any of the Castlevania games, like any of them.
You know, it was so strange you said that because in my head I was like, I wonder had he
I've
played
never-
the
yeah.
Castlevanias.
Not a single one. I played the N64 one for like 30 seconds and said this is ass, and then
It
stopped.
was not good. Yeah, that one was not good.
yeah.
You know which one that would be good for you guys? It's tough though. It's a Metroidvania, which is Symphony of the Night.
Symphony of the Night. Yeah, I think that's on there. I don't remember what year that comes out, but I remember seeing it
Let me
like
see.
when we were looking at it.
Let me look it up. That one that's a legendary one right there. So definitely look into that one. Let me see. Castlevania.
It looks like it was 97, but whenever we get to Castlevania, we'll probably whenever we hit the first Castlevania that we have to play, we'll probably go back and play some of the old ones.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the name that I know, even though I've never played any of them. So
Mhm.
that's definitely gonna be one that we go back and do, I'm sure.
And it was 97. You're right. March 20th, 1997. So for the original one, but you can get it on consoles and stuff.
Yeah, I think I actually already own it. Is the other thing? Is I'm
Oh.
pretty sure that I got it like on Xbox a long time ago.
Okay.
I just never.
Never really got
turned it
into it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a classic one. It's tough though, like I said, but it's legendary.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. But listen, let's move to the main topic, which is
Yes, sir.
Death Stranding coming to Xbox. What a turn of events! What a
They're going
wild...
third party. It's all over. End of the world.
Right. The way some of our Who brothers are acting, you would think that being the case because they've been very dramatic about it today. I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kojima Productions posted earlier today, and this did come out of nowhere, and it was kind of hilarious.
It was a shadow drop.
It was a shadow
like
drop.
it's here now. There was no announcement of like coming soon. No, it's out. It's now.
It's just here. And,
Soon is now.
Soon as right. So Death Stranding's director's cut, Xbox Series X and S edition, and Windows PC edition on sale today at a special limited time offer at 50% off. I actually own this on Epic. Brother might have. I don't know. Anyway, for more details, click here. 505 Games. Xbox community members, please enjoy. It says, and it is hilarious looking at some of the comments. One person put a bunch of poop emojis.
Oh no.
One person said, "Why so suddenly are you doing this?"
Yeah.
And a lot of our Who brothers are not taking it too well. I've seen a lot of them like, it doesn't matter. Death Stranding, Sex on the Beach, whatever the hell the name of the sequel is, terrible name. That one will only be on PlayStation, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Honestly, Sex on the Beach would be a better title.
It would probably, yeah. I hate the title of the second game. It's just so stupid. But
It's just called On the Beach.
yeah, it's just on the beach. Yeah. It's like, what? Why is that the title? But I didn't give it enough of a try, to be fair. But I
rolled credits on
blown
it,
away.
and I can tell you, you're not missing anything.
Oh, okay, so there we go.
Yeah.
So some people made it like, oh, you gotta play it past 5 hours and you'll see. And it's like,
No, like it's a pretty game,
Yeah.
and there's parts of it that are like memorable, where I'm like, yeah, that's cool. There was a weird like space whale that happened. That's neat.
Mm-hmm.
But the story, trying to figure out what is going on in Death Stranding is impossible. There is no, if anyone comes up to me and they're like, I figured it out, you're gonna need like a murder board and like 3 detectives to figure out anything about what's going on in this game. Like, it is dense and doesn't make sense. It is written poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And then the gameplay is just kind of like, in the least detrimental, least offensive way possible. It is a walking simulator. It is the most walking simulator that there has ever been. Like, you have to worry about how much damage you're doing to your boots by walking on rocks, right? You have to worry about how the stuff that you're carrying on your back is balanced. It is a walking ass. Like, it is a walking simulator in the way that Farming Simulator is a farming simulator. Like, it is unabashedly about a game about walking.
That's what I saw, man. And I know that a lot of harp was harped on about, well, you did to build a community from other members who leave things for you, and you can leave things for them and build up the bridge and all this. Like, I don't.
And that's all true. That's all. That's like very much the meta narrative.
Yeah.
However, it is a game about walking.
I know one thing. I'm going to deliver these damn packages. I know that
to
much.
Jeff Keighley.
Right.
Do you know what the first thing you deliver to Jeff Keighley is in that game?
A controller or something.
It is a statue of the Kojima Productions logo.
Oh, wow.
It is an action figure of Ludens.
Oh, wow. The damn Viking-looking space thing.
The, like, spaceman with the skeleton face.
Yeah.
Ugh. You don't get to actually, like, see it, but if you read the description of what's in the box, that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
It's just a suitcase. Everything you carry, for the most part, is just a suitcase.
You get a chance to interact with not Kojima, but Jeff and the guys in the real life people
they
in
pop
there,
up in like a hologram, and they're like, "Thanks for my blow up doll," and you're like, "No problem, Jeff."
Thanks for my Kojima blow up doll.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. Where they'll just pop up and they'll be like, "This is great. Now we can continue to live our lives underground while you walk through the rain that makes you old." By, oh God, what's his name? The director who made The Beach That Makes You Old. No. I don't know, man. It's a weird ass game. I understand people liking it, But if someone told me that they were like, if anyone came up to me and they're like, you know what my favorite game is, Death Stranding, I'd be like, I respect you, but the next time you tell me a game's good, I'm gonna question it.
Right.
Like there's gonna be a little bit of doubt there.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say I never really did give it a chance, but for those who are, probably want to score a few little get back points on our Who brothers and possibly play a decent game, go ahead and grab that game on Xbox. Keep the party
victory
going.
laps have been coming hard and fast on that one.
Yeah, get a little revenge.
Yeah, there is sort of a weird sub story to this though, where PlayStation has found yet another way to publish one of their games on Xbox, but give everybody an asterisk where they can be like, but.
Right.
Because what happened here is Kojima bought the license back. He bought the license back from PlayStation. So he now fully owns Death Stranding. It's no longer
So how is the
a second-party game.
want to go? I want to know how the sequel.
I think now it's still just. My assumption, and this hasn't been announced, my assumption would be it's a timed exclusive. I would fully expect Death Stranding 2 to show up on Xbox at some point.
That's what it seems like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Like I know some people were going to switch up and like, oh yeah, now I love the game. But I was not blown away from what I had saw. But I will give it a chance more now at some point.
The best thing I can say about it is it's an extremely well made bad game. You know what I mean? Like it is. Yeah. It is the most highly polished game that I hate.
Highly polished piece of third.
It is a perfect realization of what he wanted that game to be, and I hate it. And the thing he wanted it to be is nothing I wanted. Is basically what it is.
All that he did is not what you want. Kojima's a very specific, particular kind of guy when it comes to these types of a very unique vision. But sometimes it's like, what? Like you play any of the Metal Gears, you be like, after you start listening to the dialogue for me, you're like, what the hell is he talking about? What the hell? Like start sounding like Steve Harvey. What the hell he say? Like after a minute, you be like, what? I remember playing part 2 of Metal Gear, Sons of Liberty, and I was like, okay, all right. Got Raiden. I'm running around, pretty boy, whatever. And then you start hearing some stuff, and like, oh, my name is Jack, really, and you hear all this other stuff, and it's like, what? Like, what am I doing here? And what happened with the Sons of Liberty, and why are they doing this terroristic attack on New York? And it started to get really weird, and that's Kojima's calling card. He tells stories in a very unique way that sometimes doesn't sit well with everyone. I
respect it. I just don't enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, what a unique and interesting way to do this. Also, please stop.
Shout out to K Asante. What's up, brother? And Mac City ENT. Yeah, man. I this is why I'm a bit worried, and I'm gonna be honest here. That's why I'm a bit worried with what the project they're doing for Xbox.
OD.
Yeah, with OD.
That one, I could see it finding a way to make its way over to PlayStation, but remember, one of the big things about it is that it has to be able to use streaming technology, and I don't know if PlayStation has that.
Okay, that could be a thing.
So,
I'm interested.
They probably will get that at some point, because they do have streaming games. Like, a lot of their PlayStation Now is exclusively streaming, which is terrible, because I tried to play some of the original God of War games that way. And it just didn't work.
I didn't care for it either. I tried part 1.
Their connection is just, I don't know what it is, but I just get terrible bit rate for PS Now. That irrespective, so it could, OD I think could potentially make its way over to PlayStation at some point, and I honestly I wouldn't be surprised necessarily if it did, but I think we'd have to wait until like PlayStation 6 even at this point, because I just don't think that the technology is there for PlayStation at this moment.
Yeah.
In terms of streaming.
Yeah, I think that might be. But I feel though like Microsoft is fully funding OD though, right? So I don't know if that.
I actually don't know. Yeah.
I think they are. I don't know. But my thinking though is that, what's up, Peter? What's up, brother? My thinking though is that it's not going to live up to expectations for some. Me, I'm already like tempering should I say my expectations right now.
I think that's a good idea. I have no expectation for Kojima games because sometimes it's a really fun game like Metal Gear, and other times I don't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm like, hey, this will probably be the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life, and I'll maybe enjoy it. Like, I don't know, what's the gameplay gonna be? Last one was a walking simulator. Is this one gonna be like a cooking game that's about the end of the world or something, or like God's inhumanity to man or something? Like,
Right.
I don't know
That'd be
what's gonna
funny.
happen.
Yeah. You overdosed on food. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, not looking forward to that. That's why I'm definitely tempering expectations because I don't know. He's hit or miss for me when it comes to this. I respect him as far as a game maker, director. But at the same time, it's like he's artsy fartsy, and it's like, okay, just give me a good game, brother. Just give me a good game. But yeah, to those that didn't know, Death Stranding is on Xbox now. Again, get yourself some Who's Revenge and buy that on Xbox. It's half off right now. Not actually more than half off. It's actually, I think.
I wonder if part of this is because I don't know if you remember, but when Death Stranding originally came out, PlayStation was really mad about how little it sold. Like, it did not perform well, and PlayStation was pissed about it. And for a long time, we didn't think there was going to be a Death Stranding 2. So I almost wonder if this was in the works for a while on the Kojima side of like, I'm sick of publishers telling me that I can't make the game that I want, so I'm not going to let them own my thing anymore.
That could be.
I wonder if that's the case. But I also, like, I don't know, this is just another bucket drop in the bucket of the, like, PlayStation is also going to start putting their games on other platforms.
Yeah.
Which is, it's almost certainly going to, they were the first people to do it. They did it with MLB, they're doing it with the Lego Horizon, they did it with, obviously they're not, anything new from Destiny is going to be everywhere, like Marathon's going to be everywhere. If they want fair games to last more than 15 days, it's going to have to be everywhere.
Yep.
And now there's this, and it's just like, it's one more data point of like, those games that you think will never make their way off of PlayStation or specifically to Xbox, like, you better start believing in multi-platform, Miss Swan, because you're in one.
Yeah, you hear that, Bobby Hawk? Your games belong to us.
Is he in the chat? Who is that?
He was in there, but yeah. Oh, Pete, what was Pete saying here? He says that I've never gotten to Kojima games, especially Death Stranding, but I've never played Metal Gear games. Oh wow, he did play Metal Gear 5 though. Yeah, Metal Gear 5 is kind of hit or miss, and it's
a weird one.
It's one of those too that you would have to have played other past games to kind of get some of these characters in there.
Yeah.
So
play Snake Eater. That's the best.
Snake
one,
Eater will be the one for you. Yeah, and that's the new one coming out too. So you got, what is it? Sigma? Is it
Delta?
Delta. I always say Sigma
because Delta represents change in mathematics.
Right. There you go. So Delta's coming out, Pete. That might be the one for you. It's in glorious Unreal Engine 5 too. So, go ahead and get yourself some Unreal Engine 5 Metal Gear when it comes out next year. Or is it next year for that? I forgot.
I think so. I think it was actually originally supposed to be this year, and then they just like never told us. But at this point, it's not coming out this year.
Yeah. So definitely look for that one, Pete. I think that might be more up their alley. Because it's based off of Part 3, and Part 3 was actually pretty damn good.
It's a good ass one.
Yeah. So
I actually haven't played all of the Metal Gears.
The only one I haven't played is Part 4.
I haven't played 4, and I haven't played the original ones.
We had originals.
The one, if it was older than PS2, I haven't played it. So like Metal Gear Solid 1 and I think 2 or whatever. Like the Psycho Mantis one, never touched it.
Oh, I see. Yeah. The Psycho
Cyber Ninja, don't know his ass.
Yeah, Gray Fox.
Gray Fox, yeah.
If listen, put that on you guys' list too. Metal Gear Solid actually is really damn good. Yeah, definitely, man. I'm glad you got it on that then, because that's a classic. And it's kind of hard to explain it now, because like back then they had a moment on there where Psycho Mantis, he does. I'm sure you've probably seen it where he.
I'm familiar with what happens. For the most part.
Yeah, the whole memory card trick and all that.
I did watch a friend play part of whichever one that you fight, Gray Fox. By which I mean I watched my friend Christian get his block rocked for like 45 minutes straight. So it seems like it's a pretty hard one.
It's pretty tough. There's also this moment too where you're being tortured and stuff. Like it's a lot of great actual innovation in that game. Like just like the way they approached it design wise on how it tricks you. Because I thought I think it's a moment where he acts like he turns your game off or something like that, and you
Yeah. I think it's like it like says that he's deleting your save file or something.
right
Or...
stuff like that. And you're like, wait a minute, huh? So like all those types of things like that is break the
Bitch,
fourth
you better
wall.
stop.
Exactly. Don't you do it. But stuff like that, I think I would love for games to do more stuff like that in a cool way.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. Listen, let's make that the end of the show, man.
Yes, sir.
We purposely wanted to keep it kind of short tonight, guys. We still end up, it's about to be 9 now anyway. So, but we did start.
But we started late.
Yeah.
I think we ended up doing like basically 90 minutes.
Yeah, something like that. 90 to a half an hour and a half, rather.
Yeah.
So it works out. Let me see actual official time. Oh, yeah, about to be an hour and 30, literally.
There you
Hour
go.
and 29 right now. So yeah, we cut off about 30 minutes. Well, actually about an hour or something. I don't know how long we tend to go
Yeah,
on
I
these
mean,
shows.
we do. Look, even when we don't got nothing to say, we got some stuff to say.
Right. But listen, I want to thank you all for coming through and checking us out. Like Pete just said, hit the like button on the way out. Appreciate you guys. Listen, hopefully next week we have more to talk about as far as things. If not, we'll probably do something evergreen if we go live and just speak on something different. Just something different and kind of take us out of the world right now, because I think a lot of us need it. But just have fun and talk about stuff we all enjoy, you know. So we'll do that and see what we can come up with next week. But thank you guys for coming through and being here with us.
Best anime waifus.
Indeed. Oh wow. Pete says that Alyssa Mercanti, or is it Mercanti? She got fired from Kotaku. Oh wow.
I don't know who that is.
That's the lady who's like really super feminist and was like really like aggro to people who she perceived as like, you know, anti feminist basically.
I've got no idea.
She's really she got like those tattoos. She's very free and liberal as far as how she puts her body out there and stuff on Twitter. I'll show it to you after this.
True.
But yeah, she apparently got fired by Kotaku. Well, Kotaku itself is pretty trash to me though, so I don't.
Yeah, that's the thing is I'm like I don't know. Like I don't know who this person is.
Yeah.
But getting fired by Kotaku is almost a compliment.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't even care for Kotaku, but
yeah.
But yeah,
Did she get fired or was it budget cuts? Because they just cut a bunch of people from like GameSpot too.
it might be budget cuts, and maybe that is part of it. But I guess at the end of the day, it's semantics because it's still being fired, right? But yeah, yeah. But thank you guys again, Danny, my brother. Tell the good folks where they can find you and what you'll be up to.
You can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McG or on my personal YouTube channel of Daniel McG. Or this week, you can find me walking through the many hallways of Dragon Age Veilguard.
Yeah. Well, as far as for myself, what about like did you give your Twitter plug or?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
So at Twitter at Daniel J. McG.
Okay.
And I'd love to start plugging the thing I'm doing with Sky, but we haven't gotten our stuff back yet. So it's gonna be honestly, I'm thinking beginning of next year on that.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that sounds.
So it should be fun.
Sounds good. Yeah, definitely.
I'm excited about it.
What I want to do too for the show here is I'll eventually start having kind of community roundtables on bigger games that release that we can all speak on. So I want to add that as far as the content side video thing we'll do. But yeah, as far as myself, you guys can find me at Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite on Twitter, X, Blue Sky. You'll find me either way. On Tuesdays, the Xbox Factor, and on Thursdays at 12 o'clock Eastern, by the way. Thursdays, the Xbox Infinite podcast with Xbox Infinite. The Fix Thursdays with me and Danny, and on Fridays, the Infinite podcast. Myself, Risky for the Biscuit, that blue number, and Spriggan, aka Dante, and Garuda Intruder at times. And yeah, that's really it, guys. You all have a great one. We'll talk with you guys later.